Welcome into a Friday edition here on the Desmond Johnson Show on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. Desmond Johnson in the house with Matt Alquiza from Hornets on SI. You can follow his work on X and any major platform, basically. Following the Charlotte Hornets, who are red hot right now, winners of 5 straight. Had a classic last night, rookie versus rookie duel between Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple. Hornets victorious. We'll talk about why the Hornets are winning right now. And the future looks really, really good, especially for the starting 5. We'll get into that. Plus, the NBA trade deadline is next week. So while we got Matt here, we'll talk to him about this guy named Giannis Antetokounmpo that probably will get traded. I've seen the Hornets name actually swirling around his name, which I don't think that's going to go down, but we'll go into where he may land. And then a little bit later on, we'll have Winston-Salem Journal sports writer John Dell on. The Cookout Clash NASCAR is supposed to be here at Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem this weekend to kind of kick off the season. However, we're in the middle of waiting on a bomb cyclone of a snowstorm that's going to happen here, I think, starting tonight. So John will give us the latest on what's happening with that. Some of those events have already been postponed or canceled. The race is scheduled still for Sunday at 8 o'clock. So we will give you the latest from NASCAR in terms of whether or not that's actually going to go down. So stick around here on your lunch period. It's the Desmond Johnson Show. Let's go ahead and roll that intro.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
Yeah, welcome to the Carolinas. Everywhere you go, the sky is Carolina blue, the finest. Live action, feedback, the city need that. I've been #1, no cap. Here's the recap. Adrenaline is my addiction. I'm about to relapse. Step on the turf if you want and get your weed whack. I'm going harder than a martyr on the slaughter end. It's the heart of man, that's a rap like a cardigan. I'm breaking records, it's 4th and inches. I count the seconds. The over-under's my roar of thunder, my secret weapon. Yeah, the game is to be told. I don't break, I break modes. Follow me on Tobacco Road.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
And welcome again into the Desmond Johnson Show Friday edition here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Rate and subscribe over at the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio. And follow us best of the week on terrestrial radio here in the Triad. You'll be able to hear this segment a little bit later on today in Greensboro, WWBG 1470 AM at 5 p.m. and at 6 p.m. on WTOB 980 AM, 96.7 FM in Winston-Salem. Let's get right into it. Matt Alquiza joining us from Hornets on SI. Matt, you've been pretty busy past a couple days. I'm sure the beat has been a lot more enjoyable with the Charlotte Hornets playing the way that they have been playing, getting some national exposure now, especially after last night where some history was made. Cooper Flagg for the Dallas Mavericks and Con Knipple for the Charlotte Hornets had a rookie showdown. And for us, good thing the Hornets won the game. Cooper Flagg dropped 49 points in the game, the most in the NBA history by a teenager. He broke the rookie record he shared with Mark Aguirre for the Dallas Mavericks record for a rookie. Con had 34 points, made some plays in the final moments. Charlotte wins 123-121. It's their 5th straight wins, the most wins they've had in a row. I just checked it. I think it was 2023. I gotta go back and find it again. But
yeah, 2023.
2023, yeah. So it's just crazy what's happening here now that they're starting to get healthy, which seems like the #1 story here with the Charlotte Hornets. What's the main thing you're seeing in this stretch here where the Hornets were kind of playing 500 ball before they started hitting these wins in a row? They were kind of putting it together. What's the #1 thing that you're seeing with this young group of Hornets?
Yeah, I mean, the starting 5 is the best 5-man lineup in the NBA. It's like pretty unbelievable that you could say that about the Charlotte Hornets.
That's
right
crazy
now.
to say. Yes, I mean, Matt, that is nuts.
LaMelo Ball is healthy. He's played, I think, 20 straight games at this point. They've shown no signs of slowing down. They're limiting his minutes, but he has been so efficient, so important to the offense every time he's on the floor. Brandon Miller is making a huge leap in year 3. His ability to handle, to play make, to hit contested shots over defenders at all 3 levels. Con Knipple obviously has been a revelation as a rookie, providing Charlotte floor spacing, secondary ball handling. Miles Bridges has totally bought into this like ancillary role. He is doing all of the role player things at a pretty high level. And then Moussa Diabate, 18 points, 19 rebounds against Memphis on Wednesday night. One of the better two-way games I've seen from a Charlotte center in my lifetime, really. His ability to clear the glass, play good defense, switch onto guards, defend Jaren Jackson Jr. in the post. Like, the 5-man unit just makes so much sense together, and the movement that they're playing with and the shooting and the playmaking, like, it is all just coalescing into something that is really, really good right now for the Hornets. Top 5 offense and defense in the month of January. Like, they're just playing unbelievable basketball on both ends of the floor.
I saw a stat. I needed to compile all these tweets that I was picking up and retweeting the past couple of days regarding the Hornets, but I saw
it
one.
It could be like a novel at this point. The number of tweets that people are putting out about the Hornets, the crazy stats. Like, this month of January has been insane.
There was one. There's only 2 other teams besides the Hornets that have had 2 50-point wins in the same month. One was like the 2013 Heat, and then there was another one.
2001 Lakers.
The Lakers, with Shaq and Kobe, when they were at the peak of their powers, and both of them won the NBA championship. I'm not saying the Charlotte Hornets are going to win the NBA championship. They're just they're at the party. They're in that room where those others are residing. It almost feels like we're crashing the party here. I've always said that Tobacco Road Sports Radio, we've had the rights to the Charlotte Hornets radio network here in the Triad for really since we started in 2021. And I found an AM home for it. It's on WWBG. And we almost run 82 of their games throughout the season, along with their pregame show. And I've had people ask me all the time, why do you have the Charlotte Hornets? They suck. They're horrible. Nobody's going to listen to them. I'm like, yeah, that's true. They suck right now. But I feel like with the collection of young talent they're putting together, somewhere down the road, they're going to figure this out and turn this around. I feel like they're starting to turn this around. Can you put it all on Con Knipple in this draft class? Because it feels like this draft class was like the one that kind of settled the roster in terms of everyone kind of slid into a role, kind of, and it helps to have LaMelo Ball actually healthy. There's not really he started last night, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he
so
did.
He don't really have a minute restriction anymore, does he? Or are they still kind of monitoring his minutes?
He plays 25 minutes on back-to-backs, but because they beat Memphis so handily on Wednesday, I think LaMelo played like 20 minutes against the Grizzlies, and the Hornets won by double digits. So I think he was able to start last night and play more minutes because he was off the floor more the night before. So still on some sort of minutes limit. They haven't ever like said what it is to media or anybody, but it's kind of been around 25, 26 on back-to-backs.
And one of those, as I'm scrolling through my Twitter feed, the Hornets are 11-1 when these 5 start: LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, Moussa Diabate. With Moussa, I know that one of the things that we've talked about in the past, it felt like the starting lineup was missing a center. Do you think that's been answered with Moussa? Or do you think that's still a top priority for them as the trade deadline approaches?
I mean, it's been pretty emphatically answered, at least for this season. Moussa Diabate coming into the starting lineup is the major change that has happened. Ryan Kalkbrenner started for the majority of the season. He hurt his elbow in December, and that's when Moussa Diabate got slotted into the starting lineup. And that's kind of when Charlotte took off like a rocket ship. 11-1, like you just said, with Diabate in the starting lineup. Leads Charlotte, is like one of their leaders in on-off net rating differential. I mean, he's been immense. He kind of just changes the way they play a little bit. I mean, they have a very specific defensive coverage when Ryan Kalkbrenner is in the game that they can't really deviate from because he's not as mobile, not as agile, not as switchy as Diabate. So starting Moussa kind of just like opens up a world of defensive possibilities for the Hornets. So I don't think they're going to actively look to upgrade the center position right now. Maybe in the summertime, they reevaluate some things and they go for like a big time starting center. But as of right now, I think its status quo is as good as it gets.
The Hornets, again, they just played last night, edging the Mavericks 123-121 to spoil Cooper Flack's 49-point game. That's the 5th straight win for Charlotte. They've won 5 straight, the most in the Southeast standings currently right now, the longest win streak in the standings. They are 5 games back of Miami in the standings at 20. Miami's at 26-23. Charlotte's at 21-28. I didn't think that I would say this, but thoughts on Charles Barkley actually the other night guaranteed that the Hornets would not only make the play-in, but make the playoffs. So basically saying they're going to be a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. And I'm kind of looking around. I'm like, if they can stay healthy and keep doing what they're doing, there's not really reason to believe they can't do that, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's not just a flash in the pan anymore. I think since December 18th is when LaMelo came back from his most recent ankle injury, Charlotte has been one of the better teams in the league since that point. With the starting 5, 11-1, they're just a good basketball team at this point. And I think making the play-in, I'm beginning to think it's the floor for this team right now. They're 2.5 games back of Chicago and Atlanta for those last 2 spots in the play-in tournament. If Charlotte gets into the play-in tournament, they are like as good as anybody who's going to be one of those 4 teams. They should win 1 or 2 of those games to get in. And then there, it's house money. I think the amount of growth that you see from a team from year to year, but getting the chance to play in a playoff series and kind of getting like punched in the mouth by a team like New York or Detroit would be really good for this group. I think the young core, LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple, Brandon Miller, like they need to play in a meaningful basketball game, and they're on track to do that towards the end of the season.
It's so crazy that we've talked about getting to this moment and not knowing when it was going to happen, and now we're in a place where I can't remember the last time this was, where the Panthers are relevant, the Hornets are starting to become relevant, the
2016
team's relevant. Like, I mean, yes. it's all kind of happening at the same time. It feels weird with the Hornets because we've been such this mediocre, middle of the road kind of team for so long, which is just assets, just having these young kids, and now it feels like we're watching them grow up. So I'm very excited about the Hornets. The trade deadline's coming up next week. I don't think the Hornets are going to be buyers in this. I mean, unless you think they might go out and look for something. Is there something they might need that they might go out and trade for?
I don't think they'll be buyers. I think if anything happens, they'll make some moves on the margins to kind of maximize value on some guys. Maybe they trade either Colin Sexton or Trey Mann and kind of cash in on a spark plug guy on the bench that one of the more upper echelon teams need to kind of power their offense for stretches in the playoffs. Maybe they trade Josh Green as a 3-and-D 2-way wing, which then you promote Liam McNeely back into the rotation and get him some more reps down the stretch. But I think, like I said a second ago, I think status quo is kind of as good as it gets from the Hornets right now. I don't think they need to make a major move to shake up what they have going, because it's proven over a pretty decent stretch of basketball that it is working. And like I said, I want this team to play meaningful basketball down the stretch. You can't sell Miles Bridges for picks at this point. You can't sell off whoever in order to maximize assets. I think assets are great. You always want to accumulate as many as possible. What is better for this team right now is to play a play-in game, playoff series, and get those meaningful reps on a big stage.
Matt Alquiza joining us here from Hornets on SI. You can follow him on X at MAlquiza8. Before I get you out, though, of course, the trade line going up. We'll do a macro view of the NBA. And of course, the biggest name available now is Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks. 13 years at the Bucks, brought them their first NBA title in 50 years back in 2022. But the wheels have slowly kind of fallen off the roster over in Milwaukee, and he's kind of stuck in purgatory right now. Out with a calf injury, but there's going to be a lot of smoke around him and a couple of teams. Who are you seeing that may be the best fit for him? Because I've seen a couple, and I'm like, I don't know if there's enough there to get him over there. We were talking off camera. Mikal Bridges for the Knicks, they may have overpaid, but they had to spend 4 first-round picks to get him over there. What is the value of Giannis? Like, what team do you think has the assets to do this and still be competitive?
Yeah, I mean, Golden State is the one that people keep pointing to right now. They could send the Jimmy Butler contract to a couple of young players. They have access to all of their first-round picks for the next however many years. So if you want to bet against Steph and Giannis aging out of the NBA, and you have Golden State's first-round picks in 2031, 2032, then that's attractive. I've seen some stuff about Miami going for Giannis. Miami has kind of been in the market for every superstar that's been on the trading block of my lifetime, really, and they've only landed a handful. The Knicks have been talked about since the summer. That one gets more complicated because they don't have any picks to trade. Portland has a bunch of Milwaukee picks from the Damian Lillard trade, however many years ago that was. So Portland is kind of like looming on the periphery of it. Where I want him to go is Minnesota. That's has to be a really complicated deal with Portland as a third team, or like Portland gets picks, the Bucks get Giannis, Milwaukee gets picks, Minnesota gets Giannis, Portland gets like Jaden McDaniels and some other assets from Minnesota. That's where I want Giannis to go. I would love to see him and Anthony Edwards play together. I think that would be it would be the best star duo in the Western Conference. It'd be really fun to watch those guys try to take down Oklahoma City together.
It's crazy too, because Giannis is like 31, I think. So yeah, so he's still technically in the peak of his powers. You put him in the right situation. That would be. I'm trying to picture Golden State with him and Steph, and I'm trying to picture what else is with them, because Draymond is a shell of what he was before.
It would be like me and you, basically. Yeah, it'd be me and you, like playing the 2 and the 3 on that team.
That might be enough, but
Right.
with Steph and Giannis, we might go win a ring. So I'm just sitting there thinking of that, and then I'd seen the Charlotte Hornets name pulled up in this, and something about they don't want to let go of Miles Bridges and some other stuff, and I'm kind of like, don't tip the apple cart, Charlotte. You don't need to mess with what's working right now. Bringing in a 30-year-old Giannis to go with the young kids here, it's not much different than what Giannis already has in Milwaukee right now, except the talent level will be higher. And I'd imagine you have to give up a lot of that to even get Giannis here. And why would Giannis come here? Like, it doesn't fit. I mean, it's basically the same thing. So
he's not signing an extension here.
Yeah, Golden State, they got the money. It's, Bay Area, playing with Steph. And to be honest, Steph Curry can play till he's 45 probably. So if he doesn't leave Golden State, this could be a way for Golden State to hold on to Steph, because I think Steph's contract's coming up here soon too, isn't it? Like in a year or two. So if he decided to leave and come back to Charlotte or whatever he may do, this might be a way to start a new thing with them too. I'm gonna go ahead and get you out of here, Matt. Again, follow his work over at Hornets on SI, especially right now as the Hornets are red hot and cooking. I'm hoping to have them a little bit more often now that the Hornets are actually fun to talk about and not and not like almost like a chore. It's like, we got an NBA team, we need to talk about them. No, I want to talk about the Hornets. Like I love what they're doing right now. So we'll definitely bring Matt back on soon. Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, and there he goes. That's Matt Alquiza from Hornets on SI. Now up to the plate is John Dell from the Winston-Salem Journal, fresh from a event over the Cookout Clash. And I wanted to have you on, John, because earlier in the week I was looking at the weather and I knew this was coming into town, the Cookout Clash coming to Bowman Gray, and I was like, that sounds like they're going to be there at the same time. I don't think that's going to work out. What is the latest you can give us in terms of what is happening? Because I saw they cleared out Bowman Gray. Everything looks clean and good right now, but I think it's supposed to start 7 in the evening, 10 in the evening. We're starting to see the snowstorm. Last I checked, 6 to 8 inches. Stuff got postponed, moved around. You just came from an event that they still had. Tell us what has been postponed first, and then we'll get to Sunday.
Well, Saturday's events have been postponed. Those were the 2 local races, the modified and the sportsman races that I was looking forward to the most, because that's our local drivers that, I covered during the summer. So that's been scrapped. A couple other outdoor events have been scrapped. This indoor fan fest that I just came from had all the cup driver cars in the fairgrounds event center, I guess, over there near the annex, what used to be called the annex. So they're planning on racing Sunday. If we don't get a lot of snow, I think they can pull it off. The TV cameras are in place. The TV trucks are there. And as you know, Des, TV rules the world. So Fox is going to show something this week coming up.
So this is what I was wondering about, because they hadn't canceled it yet, and I'm like, are they still going to try to do this? So like, say we miss the most of this, and it's like a 2-inch snowfall, and it's done by Sunday morning. You think that they can honestly pull it off?
They can pull it off. They've got plows ready to get the track and to clear the parking lots for the fans. They've done this before at other tracks. One of the things that is an advantage is that it's already cleared. So if it's an inch or 2, I think they can pull it off, get the track clear, have the qualifying, figure out who's in the 24-car field, and Fox will be happy because they'll get to broadcast something Sunday night while everyone else is snowed in.
That's true.
The problem too is all the cars are at the fairgrounds. All the trucks have to back up to load these cars and get them the 5 miles to Bowman Gray. That's, I think, going to be the biggest challenge if they have a lot of snow. Now, from what I'm hearing, there's thoughts of maybe they move it to Monday night or Tuesday night or Wednesday night, because Daytona isn't until for a couple weeks. So they do have that option. It's just really going to matter on how much snow they get. They could pull the plug and not have it at all. That would be a bummer for everyone, but it's also going to be 22 degrees. So do you really want to go out and watch a race at that temperature? But NASCAR fans, they're pretty rabid. So I think they would be out there in droves, even if it was 22 degrees.
Sports writer John Dell joined us from the Winston-Salem Journal, giving us the latest on the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray, which is scheduled for this weekend. Of course, the Saturday events have been canceled. The Sunday race is still on at 8 p.m. if I'm not mistaken. So it is a night race. And I know Bowman Gray's done a lot of renovations over there in the off season, big new video screen and everything else. You mentioned the temperature, and let's say they do cancel this. Would they reschedule it, or it just would be they're just not doing it this year?
Well, it's a preseason event. So it's just they wouldn't have it again. They wouldn't have time to run it back in another schedule or another week. This would be it. Now I'm getting ready to write a column that if everything does get scraped and they don't get anything, NASCAR should come back to Bowman Gray next year and give them sort of a mulligan. They usually work in 3-year deals. Sometimes I think with these preseason events, the LA Coliseum was 3 years in a row. So I'm hoping that, NASCAR does come back. They're trying to get back to their roots, and obviously historic Bowman Gray Stadium is, one of the most historic NASCAR tracks there is. So I'm hoping that they can at least have one race, Sunday night or Monday night or Tuesday night, but we'll see how that goes. They're not going to schedule it though to come back, in a month. Now, the 2 local races, they could come back in some sort of form, maybe in March is what I'm hearing. The Bowman Gray season doesn't start till mid-April. So there's a chance maybe if there's enough sponsorship that they can maybe have a preview race with the sportsmen and the modified drivers. All their cars are ready. They're ready to roll. So the luxury is they're ahead of schedule for getting their cars ready for April. So if they wanted to maybe do something in March, I think that would be cool. It'd be different.
How are the streets over there? Have you traveled from like the Coliseum to Bowman Gray, like down MLK, like over almost no state? How are the streets right now?
The main streets are fine. It's the secondary streets and the ones. Apparently, there's some government squabbles with who's supposed to plow what. So the secondary streets aren't very good. I mean, school's been canceled
all week,
all over. So one of the things that I found interesting is this fan fest is there are a lot more kids there because they weren't in school. So and kids were in free. So all they had to do was have a paying adult, and there are a lot more kids there getting to see NASCAR up close. And the turnout was pretty good. It's one of the events that didn't get canceled, so people were flocking there, and some of the Cup drivers were coming later. So it's a cool event, and it's indoors. So I was like, it'd be nice to run the race in here, but there just wasn't enough room.
Right. So we'll see. Like I said, I saw pictures of Bowman Gray from yesterday, I believe, and I was like, wow, they got all the ice off the field and everything's like cleared out. Like they've really done a good job all week to get it all out of here. And I keep an eye on the weather, and I'm like, I don't think they're going to be able to do this on Sunday because it just looks like we're getting too much snow. They say it's supposed to start tonight through all day Saturday into Sunday morning. So if these crews can get this cleared out, bless them for being able to get it out that fast. And I didn't even think about the idea of them doing it maybe on Monday or Tuesday. So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, the secondary roads are still kind of really bad throughout Forsyth County. People don't realize that like 70% of the county is rural, like it's mainly out and they can't really get out to it. Plus it was compacted ice. It's not snow on the road. So it's a little harder to scrape. I live in the middle of Kernersville. So our roads were scraped fairly quickly for me to get in and out and around. But my parents live out towards like Walkertown. So like they're out in the sticks. So like they're still waiting for people to scrape out there. So
we're used to it melting. We're used to it, snowing and then being 50 degrees and this. So this
right. Yes. That was the difference this time. It stayed like 25, 30. So it just kind of that bank would just refreeze into another solid ball.
I was born and raised in Chicago. I'm having flashbacks here. You
can take it back to Chicago. I don't think any of us are pleased with it right now. I have to do another grocery run here a little bit later on. My kids are eating us out of house and home. One thing I did want to ask you before I got you out of here, though, if they don't get a chance to do this, talk about the economic impact to Winston-Salem, because I do feel like this race does bring in fans from not just the area, but outside of North Carolina, too. If they're getting scared off because of the snowstorm or whatnot, what does that do to area businesses like downtown Winston or restaurants or hotels or whatever it may be for folks that may have been coming in for the storm? Do you think that they've noticed a dip because of the potential winter weather?
Well, I think businesses are hurting anyway because of the storm. So I think this just adds to it. The flip side is the people that have come here and are staying in hotels or Airbnbs, they're actually going to have to stay longer if they prolong the race. So there's a little bit of a economic, gain because people are staying longer. But yeah, they're definitely going to take a hit. But you know, I've talked to a few NASCAR guys that in the higher ups that, you know, and you know, Bowman Gray is like their Wrigley Field or Fenway Park. This is a thing they want to make sure and get this on the map. They don't make a lot of money at this event, NASCAR, because it's not a big stadium. That's obvious. I know Wikipedia says 17,000. The city says it seats about 14,000. So those attendance figures are a little exaggerated every year. I thought it was
19. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, the most I've ever seen there was a Winston-Salem State homecoming, and that was about 19,000 because they were all running around the concourse. But it does. It's not a big stadium, so they don't make a lot of money, but they want to preserve this. They want to have this. The fans, you know, have been coming to Bowman Gray for the weekly series for years and years. And I think last year's attendance was the most I've seen in my time at the Journal. And I think it was because of the Clash. So I think even next summer, even if this, you know, doesn't happen this week, attendance is going to be big again because it puts Bowman Gray on the map and people are going who have never gone before. So it's a good deal it's one of the coolest things in Winston-Salem I've seen. I've lived here 30 years now, and you know it's right up there because it's a national event, and people are excited about it.
So keep up with John. Let them know where they can find you online so that they can keep up with the latest. Because I do feel like if any kind of news happens with this, it's going to drop. Like it'll probably drop after we're done here.
Right.
As soon as we're done here, it'll be like, hey, here's the latest on it. So let them know where.
Journalnow.com, and it's a lot easier to write because I'm not going anywhere. So I'm just sitting here by my laptop. So when some updates come, I'm usually getting it online and you know, getting it out there. So we'll just keep an eye on it. Hopefully it won't snow as much on Saturday and they can give it a shot. But you know, Mother Nature's on the pole, basically.
Yeah. And I think it's crazy too, because I think I saw another one supposed to come in next week too, like Thursday or Friday, and Duke, Carolina is Saturday. And I have the East Forsyth Hall of Fame ceremony that already got moved from last weekend to February 7th.
Did we move? Did nobody tell us? Did we move?
I know somebody pushed us up north apparently or something. Like I'm not used to this, so I'm gonna go out here and battle folks in the Walmart grocery store again for apparently for milk and bread because that's what everybody's buying right now.
Right.
But appreciate you coming on, John. And again, follow John for the latest. Again, the Cookout Clash. It's still scheduled for 8:00 Sunday night on Fox, if I'm not mistaken. Correct. And it's a spectacle watching them in there doing that from last year. I remember it was like, this is pretty cool. But the smaller races have been postponed for Saturday. They already had the Fan Fest earlier today. Sunday is still on, but if something happens because of the weather, and that could change. I'm looking outside, it's bright and sunny right now, but 12 hours from now, I have no idea what's going to be going on. If it does change, follow John online. He'll be able to give you the latest there from NASCAR. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Again, you can hear the best of the week of the Desmond Johnson Show on WWBG 1470 AM in Greensboro at 5 p.m. on Fridays, at 6 p.m. on WTOB 980 AM and 96.7 FM. And you can hear John, you can hear Matt Alquiza, who was on with us earlier, and David Glenn and Connor O'Neill from earlier in the week. So we will talk to you guys.